Welcome to Mary Queen Stories, the official podcast of Mary Queen of the Holy Rosary Parish in Lexington, Kentucky. Our mission is to receive God's love, proclaim the greatness of the Lord, serve joyfully, and make missionary disciples of Jesus Christ. I'm your host, Jennifer Longworth, Communications and Parish Life Coordinator at Mary Queen. And my guest today is Mr. Mike Allen, Mary Queen parishioner, but tell us about your role at the diocese.
Okay, yeah, my wife Angie and I are Mary Queen parishioners. Moved to Nicholasville, but we still drive to Mary Queen because it's our parish. That's where we came into the church, and so many good friends. My role with the diocese, I'm the director of family life and evangelization, which is a mouthful, I know. But, I do a lot of work just supporting the parishes and the diocese. We have a geographically broad diocese, and so I try to work with parishes as a resource to help them strengthen their ministries to marriages and to families and so forth.
So I see you post on Facebook a lot about doing retreats with engaged couples.
Yeah, a big part of what I do is help prepare engaged couples for the vocation of marriage. So, I do a lot of seminars, workshops and stuff, and also engage others to, couples that kind of help with that as well. Yeah. And so, part of what drew me to Grace Marriage, honestly, was the fact that I think in terms of preparing couples for marriage, I think the Catholic Church is largely ahead of the game. We've been a kind of a pioneer in that sort of formation of engaged couples. Marriage enrichment is more of a challenge, and which is unfortunate because, as we know, it's one thing to prepare for marriage, but it's another thing to live it out, and then just the daily blessings and challenges that come. And so we need to, I think, do a better job in our parish communities to help nurture, encourage couples, build community, and so forth.
Did you bring Grace Marriage to the diocese?
Yeah, I became aware of Grace Marriage a couple years ago, I guess. I found about it, this ministry. It actually started in Owensboro, Kentucky, by a Protestant couple, Brad and Marilyn Rhodes. They developed this whole ministry concept called Grace Marriage. Of course, the emphasis is in the title that, sometimes marriage can fall into this pattern of scorekeeping or putting conditions on our love and so forth. But how do we as Christians live marriages that are guided by grace? That just like God loves us, our love goes out whether it's perfectly reciprocated or not. And so this couple developed this sort of model of mini retreats, like 4 hours long over the course of a year. So every 3 months, couples come together for 4 hours. They go through some sort of workbook together. There are, group sessions where there's a short presentation or video. There's some games, and there's also intentional opportunities for couples to have conversations just, between themselves over things related to marriage and what it means to live as a married person. And so it provides those, their motto is grace plus intentionality equals transformation. And so I became aware of it. And then I found out that the Diocese of Owensboro, again, this started in Owensboro, Kentucky, a Protestant couple, that the Diocese of Owensboro had formed a partnership with Grace Marriage because, a lot of the ideas translate, of course, within the Christian world. And so Grace Marriage as an organization, as it continued to grow, they developed this partnership, and they developed a whole sort of Catholic, I guess, insert with quotes from the catechism, from papal encyclicals, Pope Francis and so forth, that to kind of sort of add a little bit more of a distinctive Catholic element to it.
So how does Grace Marriage differ from Worldwide Marriage Encounter or Retrovi or any of the other programs out there?
Well, and certainly they're not intended to in any way replace those or compete with those. Worldwide Marriage Encounter is a distinctly Catholic movement that began and has chapters all over the world. And Worldwide Marriage Encounter involves a weekend retreat, a full weekend retreat. And we're part of a region here in this diocese that includes Kentucky and Ohio, I think, maybe Indiana, I'm not sure. And so couples go off and spend a whole weekend working on their marriage, enriching their marriage. Retrovi is a ministry that's not so much just for marriage enrichment, but marital healing for couples who are in difficult, troubled marriages and so forth. Also very Catholic in its origins, and it has chapters around the world. Worldwide Marriage Encounter is a great resource, but not every couple can take advantage of it, go away for a whole weekend. And this is what's great different about grace marriage. It's really distinctly parish-centered.
Okay.
Right. And then it's sort of the Emmaus, or not Emmaus, I'm sorry, Curcio, where you've got the full weekend with Worldwide Marriage Encounter. Grace marriage is meant to kind of take that whole weekend, but then break it up into smaller segments. Does that make sense?
So these are mini retreats, but they're just a one day.
Just 4 hours, like 9
4
a.m.
hours.
Like 9
goodness.
a.m. to 1 p.m.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah. And it's, it's pretty fast moving. So there's a lot of activity, like I said, games, intentional times to reflect individually and then discuss as a couple. It's really, I think, a very well put together. It's the program, very easy to follow and easy to coordinate. And we initially had a pilot group for the diocese at Christ the King 2 years ago with about 35 couples from 11 different parishes. And then last year, we had 4 different parishes that had their own grace marriage group, including Mary Queen. And so we're trying to kind of keep it going as the Mary Queen and do the next series of books and get more and more in the parish, more couples in the parish that'll be involved in grace marriage so that we can just do a better job of building each other up.
So the people who went through last year, they could continue on this year and it would be different.
Yes, it'll be different.
Nice.
And if you didn't do it last year, or couples didn't do it, grace marriage is so well put together, you can easily step in and where it is in series 2, and you won't feel like you're really missing anything.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And that starts up in August?
August 10th is our first of the 4. So there's one August 10th, then one November 9th. These are all Saturdays. One on January 25th, and then one on March 29th. And, and if somebody looks at their calendar and says, oh, we can only go to 3 of the 4, that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we can, because if you have to miss the session, we can get you the workbooks and all the instructions and how they can do it at home.
What are some of the other parishes that are doing this?
Saints Francis and John in Georgetown had a group, and they're going to continue next year. And then also St. Elizabeth Ann Seton and Pax Christi together had a grace marriage group. And they're still trying to discern. I know there's a group at Seton that wants to continue it. Not sure about Pax, trying to find maybe other couples to help lead it there. And then I've also reached out to a couple of other parishes that are kind of discerning.
Is this a couple-led program? Or
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a team of couples at Mary Queen. Of course, my wife Angie and me, Marty and Amy Brown, Bo and Michelle Langster. And then I think Rick and Lynn Stephen are going to also come on board this year because they did it last year to help. And so it's great. It's very easy to lead. And, we're all going to be very real and honest about the blessings of marriage, the challenges of marriage. Last year, I think we had 14 couples from Mary Queen that were involved, and we all got to know each other pretty well and had a good time together.
And that takes place here at the church?
Yeah, last year we met in the media center / library. Well, actually the first time was over in the ABCD rooms there across from the choir room, and we were too big for that. So we got a little bit of bigger space, and it was a lot of fun.
Excellent.
So, you think about, marriage, oftentimes what happens is as marriage goes along, we kind of get in ruts. Or we find ourselves that our communication is more just detail oriented, especially when you got kids. Okay, well, who's picking who up? Who's doing supper? And it becomes like that. And part of it is just we live these very busy lives. So what Grace Marriage does, it just gives you a time to just breathe and to really think, okay, where is our marriage? How can we grow our marriage? We can remember what drew us together in the first place, because there was something that drew us to each other, And so it really, it's like any vocation. We need ongoing renewal, and it's not for perfect marriages or perfect people. We're proof positive. All of us on the team, we know that we're not perfect, but it's been a lot of fun, really.
So some retreats out there require a commitment after the retreat. This doesn't sound like it does.
Therefore, signed up to help lead the next one or something?
Yeah, help lead the next one, or suckered into going to monthly meetings or weekly meetings, or I'm speaking from experience. Obviously, I won't call out any specific retreats, but there's been more than one I've gone on that I'm like, uh-oh.
I know exactly what you're talking about. No, it's not there. You are not committed to doing anything. Now, when you sign up, you really sign up for the full year. So you pay up front. I think it's $150 if you can afford it. If we've got some scholarship help and stuff where we can help folks, but it's $150 for the full year. That means you get a new workbook every time, and that helps cover all your food. And then we even offer the opportunity. We didn't have a need for it last year, but already I think people are reaching out about childcare. Well, that's something that if there's enough need, we can help provide. You may have to be asked to pay a little extra to help cover some of that cost.
Okay. So there's food. I heard
there's
you say food.
Food. We don't have a full meal, right? Because it's 9 to 1.
Right.
But we usually have kind of heavy breakfast foods and other snacks. And so, nobody's going to go hungry. But then, you can, afterward, if you want, you can go out to lunch together or get together with another couple or a couple of couples. And that's kind of an option. But we definitely make sure everybody's well fed.
Excellent. So once a quarter, $150 for the year, childcare available. If the demand is there, we'll find a way to meet it.
Yes.
Anything else we need to know about the Grace Marriage Program?
I just think if anybody is listening and you're sort of on the fence, if you're a married person, there's so many things that we can come up with in our mind to keep us from doing something like this. You don't know our lives, how busy they are, and so forth. And I understand and I respect that. But if it's even possible for you, I really hope you'll think and pray about it. Even if you can't come to every session, you can even come to the first one and say, because, we're going to ask for a deposit up front. If you come to that first one and you say, this is not for us, then you can pull out. That's not a problem. But if you go ahead and make that commitment, put it on the schedule, and we try to avoid things like UK football games and all that kind of stuff, just because we know, those are the things that people enjoy. But anyway, and I also wanted to let people know up front, you're not going to be called on to share deep things with a group or anything like that. Your primary discussion is with your spouse, not with a greater group.
Excellent. And how do people learn more or get signed up, or what's the next step?
Well, you can go to the parish website, and there should be a link there. And to sign up, you can also go to the diocesan website, which is cdlex.org, cdlex.org/grace-marriage, and you can find out information there. It's easy to sign up online. We're asking for a $50 deposit if you're able. I think the sign-up deadline is sometime in late July. I don't have it in front of me.
And it's mqhr.org/grace-marriage on the Mary Queen website.
Fantastic.
Yes. Well, speaking of Mary Queen, let's talk about our mission statement.
I love it, by the way.
Thank you.
It's very, it's short, concise, which is what you wanted in a mission statement.
And I don't have to read it to remind you of what it is. It is receive God's love, proclaim the greatness of the Lord, serve joyfully, and make missionary disciples. Which one of those resonates the most with you, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because they're all so good. That receive God's love is, I really like that in there, because I don't think we oftentimes, when we make mission statements, we don't really reflect on what it is to live in the grace of God and the knowledge that He loves, that we love because He first loved us. But I also, as somebody who, part of my work is in evangelization, making missionary disciples is, I think it's just a good reminder to really hone down what in the midst of all the activity that we do. And sometimes in a parish we can be really busy, which is good. I mean, you definitely want an active community, but to always evaluate everything we do toward that end desire to help us all become stronger disciples of the Lord. And it does not happen by accident. We have to be intentional about making disciples. That's what Jesus commanded us to do. And if we're a baptized person, we all have a share in that mission.
Yeah. So what does that look like for you in your role with the diocese, in your family life as a parishioner, Mary Queen, anything?
For one thing, feeling more of a sense of ownership, I think, for each other.
Okay.
Because, it's easy to sort of take that approach that I'm just going to go check the box that I went to Mass this week. And to understand that we have a stake in each other, to be aware of the people that sit around us in Mass. I was just noticing even this past Sunday, I was sitting there, or yesterday, I guess, I was sitting there, and there was a family that came in that I'd not seen before that were right in front of me. I just wondered who they are, and they unfortunately slipped out too quickly after Mass. But I think for us to take an interest in each other, it's not just about building my own faith. It's helping each other, I guess. And so, I'm about working with the diocese, trying to look at every, even like marriage preparation. What am I doing? How are we helping not just couples get ready for their wedding, but to really reflect on what it means to live out this call, and to really encourage them as they reflect more deeply on what this call is and how they're going to live it out.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Mike. Again, if anyone wants to sign up for Grace Marriage, they can go to mqhr.org/gracemarriage.
Great. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you for listening to Mary Queen Stories. To connect with us, visit mqhr.org/podcast. Until next time, and always, Mary Queen of the Holy Rosary, pray for us.